Hello and welcome to the Daytona International Speedway for the first round of the HTL Hammered Down Truck Series. I'm one of your hosts, Eli Sasak, joined here by Ryan Pannell, and after a great season one, we're back here for the Henderson Graphics 250 for the start of another season.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great race. I can't wait. Love Daytona, love these trucks, so I'm excited. There's a lot of trucks out there. I'm not sure the final count, but it's going to be a great race.
Last I checked, I had 29 entries on the list. That might have gone up within the past few minutes, but we sure do have a pretty stacked field, a lot of newcomers, a lot of old talent. One of the ones we should be watching out for is Pacey Wygant, the defending series champion in the 6 truck tonight. He had 4 race wins last season. Pretty good campaign all together for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I've raced with Pacey a lot in HTL and also over in ARCS, and he's really fast. Just, I mean, any car combo, any track combo, he's always has a lot of speed, so he'll definitely be one to watch, but tonight's kind of a wild card, so you never know here at Daytona.
For sure, it's always a bit of a different spectacle at these plate tracks like Daytona and Talladega. Anybody can really take the charge at the field and win this thing, as we see multiple times at these kinds of tracks. What do you kind of feel when you're driving these trucks around this track and these kind of tracks? Like, what are you kind of thinking? What's your strategy, I guess I'm trying to say, for these kind of events?
Oh man, my strategy is just to try and stay out of the mayhem. We all know the big one. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens. So you just got to be smart. You know, some people are going to lay back here on the start just to try and stay out of trouble. Some people will be right there up at the front. So I prefer to stay at the back just to kind of stay out of trouble, but everybody has a different strategy.
Yeah, and of course we have 62 laps tonight, so we may be, some people may rush their schedules compared to a longer race. Some may kind of push back what they kind of want to do in this race. It all kind of just depends on who the drivers are, and I mean, we got a lot tonight. It should be quite a great show. And it's going to be a fun time to see a few trucks on track. Right now, looks like we got the 13 and the 34 currently with the 36 right around in a pack. How does the truck feel in the draft? I raced in the Cup Series race last night, and those kind of have a little bit of bubble, not much if you have somebody behind them. How did the trucks feel in that regard with the draft?
Yeah, the trucks are way better. I was in that race last night too. Had to race my way in last night. We made it happen, so we'll be back next Monday night behind the wheel. But you're absolutely correct. I mean, the Cup cars, the next gen car, just that bubble that's there. You really have to have somebody behind you pushing you really hard to get to even get close to the car in front of you. These trucks, not the case. You can hook up and push. I mean, you see right there, these 3 trucks are hooked up and no one behind them. So it's a lot of fun, but you have to be very careful.
Oh,
something like that'll happen.
Yeah. In my experience, these trucks are very easy to hook up. You can really, compared to at least the Cup cars, which have that rounded rear bumper, these are really flat, and it's really easy to just kind of like tandem draft in these trucks. Just that flat surface is really just easy to push.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one thing that's really cool about these truck front ends is they are, for the most part, very similar. They're not quite like the next gen car where, you know, they have the different, the Chevrolet and the Toyota is kind of different than the Ford. All of these front ends are pretty similar. Obviously, you know, they have the makes and the brands on them, but I agree, it's a lot easier to push, but you definitely, if you get to push on the left or the right side, you will wreck that car or that truck in front of you.
Of course. And it makes the impact a lot worse when you're racing a pack, not just 2. Like, I believe that is Bobby Blowers. I'm not sure who's in the 37, but like these 2 are, it's not as it's not as devastating as when you're in the middle of a pack 3 wide or 2 wide with 16 and 20 other cars with you.
For sure, when you get in a big pack, it can get really sketchy, especially here at Daytona. Not quite as wide as Talladega, not as quite as a smooth track surface. So when you get even 2x2 here at Daytona, can get really sketchy in these trucks. But we know we'll see some 3 wide racing tonight too, and that's even worse. It's just a lot narrower than Talladega. So when you see these drivers going 3 wide, look out. It's going to get sketchy quick.
Yep, 12 minutes until qualifying here. Is there any drivers you have your eye on to finish well in this race, or even take home the checkered flag for tonight?
It's really hard at Daytona. I know a few people that y'all probably don't know that are racing coming over from ARCS. Steven Oberstadt, he's very, very good at super speedway racing. I'd have to keep an eye on him. Joshua Gaiman, he's always fast, but it's so hard to just find that luck.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, there's definitely a few great drivers in here. Of course, you got Pacey Widgeon, you got John Hagan, Dean Clavitt. I mean, there's a lot of talent that competes in other series in HTL and other stock car series here on ABN. So it is quite a challenge to pick out one winner compared to, say, a track like Las Vegas or Phoenix, where you can kind of tell like where somebody is good on those specific track types.
For sure. Yeah, it's just, this is a toss-up. I mean, we all know what we're getting involved in when we join a Talladega or a Daytona session, and it's a wild card, and that's what makes it fun at the end of the night too, though. I mean, somebody that normally may struggle on speed or being up front, here at Daytona, you just stay out of the mess. You might be there to win this thing.
Of course, and of course, Daytona is a big track, but only 62 laps is, me personally, is a pretty short race time for people to make moves. Of course, no stages tonight. So it's going to be quick. Hopefully, we can get some green flag stops in, which may change the complexion of the race a little bit. What's your thoughts on just the strategy and just like, especially pitting in with other cars can be quite nerve-wracking when it comes down to that.
For sure, yeah. I mean, if they do have to make green flag stops, it could be a mess. That's just where drivers have to really communicate over race comms. Let everybody know when they're pitting. Not having stages is a huge deal to change strategy, because obviously, the Cup Series, has the stages, and that completely changes your strategy. You're not thinking about, oh, I have to get to lap so and so. When they take the green flag, the end is 62. There is no in between. So it definitely changes the strategy for everyone on the racetrack.
Yeah, you can't split up the races into those thirds like you can in Cup, and see a few packs going around the track here. This one has Jimmy Munch, I believe that's how you say his name. Mensch, excuse me. Not heard of him before, me personally, but here within the pack seems like he's given a really good push to that 17 with the 6 right behind him of Pacey Widgeon. So I mean, they're looking pretty good with Ayers as well in the 17. So
yeah, and these drivers very quickly, even just here during practice, they're learning who can push and who can't, and that is huge. I know, all of us have been in races before where you look up in your rearview mirror and you go, oh no, this person's behind me, and you kind of just clinch a little bit, hoping they don't push you in the corner or do something stupid. But we also have all been behind, had that driver behind you where you're like, oh yeah, we're going to the front now. So everybody's learning, just like we are. The drivers are learning too, who's who's good at pushing, who can, get my truck to the front.
Yeah, and of course, some of these drivers has also raced with each other as well, like Henderson. I believe Marcus Chafin is in this pack as well. So, like, those two are, of course, teammates, I believe, in the Cup Series and know each other quite well. Alfred Denny as well, one of the... Oh, that's Denny in the 21. I thought that was Chafin, but still, Denny and Henderson know each other quite well and should know each other's tendencies within the pack. They're not quite together right now, but I mean, they should know each other's tendencies when it comes to racing. Like, I'm sure some of these will, as I mean, they're wrecking right now.
It's practice. Get it out in practice. That's what we do. You get the wrecking out in practice, then get serious for the race. But yeah, I mean, Marcus and Blake, I'm actually on their team in the Cup Series. Marcus got that W in Duel 1 last night, so that was cool to see. But yeah, I mean, they're both very good. Blake's a really good super speedway racer as well.
Quite a big pack here going on too. We got 4 in the top lane, about 5 in the bottom lane. This is kind of similar to the racing we'll actually see in the race tonight. Just pushing each other on those lanes, trying to get out in front of each other. And this is quite good practice for the actual race time once it comes.
Yeah, every driver knows the term pit party, and we always try and do a pit party before you go into qualifying in the race. And this is a very good example of a very good pit party, as you got to learn, you got to get out there in the draft, and you got to know, which driver can help me and which driver is going to be in the way.
Yeah, sometimes, like, if I'm I feel like I know plate racing quite well, but even if like I'm in a plate race for the first time in like a minute, or even not, sometimes I'll just like to join those pit parties just to get a feel again. Sometimes it's nice to have those refreshers on how the cars work, how the cars feel, and just how it feels to be in those pack, and sometimes what moves you can make in these races, as they seem to be doing pretty solid right now, navigating around. I believe that was Blake Henderson in the 25. So hopefully we see some racing like this tonight. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good show if they keep it clean for 62 laps.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If they keep it clean, that's going to be.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, it could go 2 different ways. You could see. I mean, obviously the start of the race, they're going to be double file. 16, 17 rows deep. They don't have a choice. They're going to be double file. But I've seen some of these races where everybody kind of calms down and they get into more of a single file line, just riding around because they know they have that, green flag pit stop that they have to make. So whether I think these drivers will do that, only time will tell.
Yeah, and see him getting a little bit squirrely there, kind of just going in between the lines here. We got a quite nice big pack here. I believe this is about 9 cars here in the pack. We see Alyssa Pelletier Sharp right in the middle of it. A few names just here riding it out, coming up on a lap car push out of the corner to Sosi by, I'm not quite sure who that is, and they're 3 wide, and they're just gonna wreck here. At least they're getting it out now compared to doing that on lap 10 or 20 in the race.
Yeah, they may do it in the race too, but let's at least try and get it out in practice. I mean, that's what you got to do. That's what practice is for. Push that truck and see how much can I push the truck in front of me before it upsets that truck and causes a huge issue. So, shout out to the drivers. You gotta push it in practice. That's where you get better, and hopefully they'll learn from what they're doing in practice, and it won't happen in the race.
Yeah, and of course, saw there the 81 of Sosi just get a little bit loose by a bump. Sometimes out of the corner, the air coming off of those cars can just make it, the weight transfer can just make those loose altogether without any bump, but the bump certainly exaggerates it in that instance. Ryan on board here with Gaiman. behind Henderson, coming up on a pack of cars, it looks like gonna have some double file here again as people getting squirrely again. Hopefully this is not indicative of what we'll see in the actual race. Of course, people might be a little bit limit testing here just to see kind of what they can get away with here as they're wrecking again in this pack. 2 minutes to go until qualifying, so hopefully they get it out all of their systems before then.
Well, let's hope so, but hey, if they don't, that's why we have a yellow caution flag, and we'll fly it if we have to. But yeah, I mean, you talked about coming off the turns. Another big thing that, you know, some people may know or may not know, depending on how you have your steering offset set for these trucks, it can actually really help. I know most cars, the stock steering offset for a super speedway race is usually just 0. The next gen's completely different because that's the next gen. But you can change that offset and it'll actually help when you come out of the exit, when that truck really kind of unloads from the banking down to the flat. It won't push up like some of the trucks you see do. So hopefully, you know, we don't see that, but it's definitely a common thing.
Yeah, for sure. And some people know just not to push on the exit corners. I'm one of the people that usually when I'm pushing, I'm not trying to push on the exit corners or even really in the corners at all. I just do all my pushing on the straights. So some people, I think, just generally just a limit test there. I mean, just testing the limit, seeing what you can get away with, what you can't for race time. As I believe this, I'm not quite sure if he was trying to pit there or what, but I believe that is Oberstat just hitting the wall a ton there in the last about minute of practice, 2 minutes.
Yeah, he's just testing, see how fast he could go. That's what it was. Did a little tumble there, but he'll be all right. So, but yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be a great race. You know, hopefully everybody shows some patience. That's the biggest thing here on these super speedway tracks. You got to have patience, and you know, as far as pushing in the corners, you know, we've all kind of been through drivers' meetings before where admins and league owners, you know, probably the two things that get brought up the most is don't push in the corners and don't push the pusher. Both of those things, if you do either one of those things, usually does not end very nicely for anyone around. So we'll see if they keep to that here tonight.
For what it's worth, I have a very good track record of pushing the pusher. So I've done many times and it's worked out for me. So
it's fun until it's not fun.
Angel Santiago here just doing a little bit of last minute pit practice as another truck rolls in, and we're going to be heading to qualifying here at Daytona. Kind of what are you looking for here in the qualifying runs? What are you looking for these trucks to be doing to set a fast time?
Well, the main thing here is one thing that's a little bit different, at least for me and other leagues that I run, is there's only one lap. So, you know, a lot of other leagues have 2 laps for qualifying. If that was the case, usually drivers on the first lap, they're going to run the high side all the way around lap 1, then drop down low. Can't do that here because you only have 1 timed lap. So they're going to be coming off pit road, trying to gain as much speed as they can. Probably stay high in 3 and 4 to build up that momentum, then drop down right across the start finish line and then just hug that yellow line all the way around both corners and just never lift. Try and keep your steering as consistent as you can, and then you kind of just have to pray maybe the wind is in your favor and you just see where you can set it.
Of course, seeing the 89 car here of Connor Morse on his outlap. Connor Morse is a young driver, pretty young. He's got a lot of talent. Raced a few races in the Cup Series last week, not last week, but last season, and I believe he did a few in the National Series as well last season. Not quite sure if he did any trucks, but I know he's got a lot of talent. He's just a young driver that needs to get some of those kinks worked out of maybe just being too aggressive or too crash happy as he starts his lap here going into the turn 1 of Daytona.
Yeah, patience is key, and you know, sometimes with some of these younger drivers that we have in the leagues, patience is not their friend. So hopefully he can learn a little bit of patience tonight, because he's definitely going to need it.
Yep, firing down the back straight, passing the chicane used for the road course here. He's going up pretty high there, I feel, on the back straightaway, and then dipping down low. I don't usually go that high, but maybe that just gains a little bit more speed going into the entry as he comes off of turn 4 here. Going to be coming across the line onto the trial. Well, let's see what time he sets. It's going to be a 51.94 for Connor Morse. That's going to put him at the top of the board for right now, quickly demoted down to second.
Yeah, John Hagen is all, I mean, we saw that last night. John Hagen is fast. No surprise to see him sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, DJ Trout saying his lap now as well, 51.9. That's going to put him 11th on the board. A pretty solid lap there. That's at least going to give him probably a top 10, top 15 position to start off this race. Jaden Bingaman now coming through turns 3 and 4. I believe he is on an out lap, coming down low off of the banking and just riding it down to start his lap at the line. And that's something I like to do, is kind of go off of right off the banking low. Just, I feel it gives a little bit more speed. Is that something you like to do, Ryan? Is just kind of roll it off the top there as you come to do your flying lap?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I usually run 3 and 4 up on the top side, bring it off of 4, and then just kind of let the banking just bring me down towards the tri-oval. It does, I feel like, give you a little bit of extra momentum. Don't know if it actually works, but it feels like it does. So yeah, that's
a little bit of a placebo.
Yeah, that's something that I think all drivers kind of do, and then just got to keep it tucked on that yellow line and hope for the best.
Yep, Bingaman now coming onto the front stretch into the tri-oval to finish this lap. Let's see what he sets here. It's going to be a 51.956, 939, sorry. 7th.
Hey, numbers are hard.
Yeah, 7th for Jaden Bingaman, and now we got Richard Odie starting off his lap here, going into turn 1 and 2, just hugging that yellow line. Looks like he's getting a little bit off of it. Might be costing him some speed. That truck looks a little bit wigglier, not like he's keeping it very straight onto that yellow line as he comes down the back stretch.
Yeah, and a lot of times, a lot of drivers, you try and hug that yellow line, but if you do, sometimes you go a little too low, and if you make contact with that apron, it's going to kind of shoot your truck back up, and that looks kind of like what happened to him in 1 and 2. A little bit better 3 and 4 here, but I think probably the damage has already been done. This might be a little bit slower lap time, but we'll see what he turns here as he crosses the start-finish line.
At 51.965, that's going to be 16th for Richard Odie. And of course, I think the wind affects these cars as well, and how well they can hug that yellow line, as Blake Henderson is going to come off turn 4. And I don't think he finished his lap there. The session ended before he was able to. So we're going to go straight to the race. Blake Henderson going to start at the back here, as we're going to look at the starting order for tonight's race. On row 1, we got John Hagen, the defending Cup Series, 4 wins last season, starting next to Joshua Sosi in second, who is the defending Cup Series champion. Row 2, Byron Jones in the double O, next to Pacey Wygen in 4th in the 6, who is the defending Truck Series champion. Row 3, Joshua Gaiman in the 33. In 5th, Daniel Menzies in the 51 in 6th. Row 4, the 82 of Jaden Bingaman starting in 7th, and Alyssa Pelletier Sharp in the 18 starting 8th. Pelletier, sorry. The 89 of Connor Moore starting 9th, Lane Myers in 10th in the 28 for row 5. Row 6 going to be Dale Markowski in the 5, starting 11th, and then Zach McBride in the 3, starting 12th. Row 7, the 08 of Jonathan Adams in 13th, and then John Matthews in the 98. 27 of David Smeal Jr. and Richard Odie on row 8 in the 78. Angel Santiago in the 23, Martin Roberg in the 37, make up row 9. D-Day Trout in the 93, and Carmen Sienna in the 96, make up row 10. On row 11, Bobby Blowers starting 21st in the 34, and Rance Lewin in the 31, starting 22nd. Alfred Denny in the 21, starting 23rd for row 12, next to Rodney Ayers in the 17, starting 24th. Kyler McCarthy, 25th in the 24. Lily Frazier, 13th in 26th. Marcus Chafin, the 12th, starting 27th. Stephen Oberstadt, the 8th, starting 28th for row 14. Jimmy Mensch starting at 29th for the 94 truck, and Dean Clavitt in the 56 on row 15. Austin Mongold in the 92 for row 16, and Christopher Bendel starting next to him in the 16. And then Blake Henderson ending the grid in 33rd in the 25 truck. And that's the grid for tonight's race here, as they're rolling, coming onto the back straight. Excited for this race. I'm sure a lot of these drivers are. How are you feeling, Ryan, as we're ready to go green here shortly?
I'm excited. I'm ready to watch some plate racing here with the 33 trucks out here. I've done a couple broadcasts before on my channel, but I've never been able to not have to worry about the production or the camera angles. I just get to call this race with you, so I'm excited.
Yeah, of course, and it's of course going to be a fun time. We're going to see some 2-wide, even 3-wide action for 62 laps here at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. John Hagan and Sosi going to lead the field to green here. Looking at the current conditions, 73 degrees Fahrenheit is the temperature, 0 humidity, and the winds going northeast 6 miles per hour. So if I'm correct, that's going to be blowing from turn 4 into turn 4. I'm not quite sure on that one, but I know it's going in one of those directions. So we're going to see here coming onto the front stretch, the pace car, or the pace truck rather, is going to pull down into the pit lane as John Hagan and Joshua Sosi are going to lead the field to green here.
Green flag.
And we are underway for the first race of this season here at Daytona. John Hagan going through the gears here down into turn 1, gets a lead over Joshua Sosi as we see a car coming out of the pits there. That's the 23 of Angel Santiago as the field goes two rows deep into turns 1 and 2, coming onto the backstretch. John Hagan retains the lead from his position, looking very good for him on that low line.
And the 23 truck you mentioned probably missed the start maybe. Could be a blessing in disguise. Is there a record already?
That's huge, and that's the 91, I believe. The 94 of Christopher Pendel, I believe that is. Jimmy Mensch, sorry. In that Falcon 94 Chevrolet, it appeared to get turned around going into turn 3, and we are still green somehow as John Hagan has lost the lead to the 00 as we see a car go low there. That's a weird sort of event. I thought for sure this race would be yellow flagged, but we're still rolling. Now, as they're coming onto the backstretch 2x2, and John Hagan somehow lost the lead while all of that was happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how that wasn't a caution, but we're still green, so we'll keep going as we come to lap 3 of 62 here. 2 lanes pretty much throughout the entire field. The outside line has a little bit better run right now, but the inside line trying to make a charge down there on the bottom.
Of course, Byron Jones leading the pack. Pacey Wygant close behind, and Alyssa Pelletin-Sharp in third. looking for a good podium, as Jimmy Mensch just completely kind of got he lost out heavily on that spin, seemed to be the only casualty of it. However, as the inside line got a little bit of a run there, and there's some cars trying to make it 3 wide right now in the middle of the pack, as I believe that was Connor Morse got a little bit squirrely coming into turn 3 here.
A little early for 3 wide for my likes, but hey, I'm not on the track. I'm up here watching it from up above. So yeah, after 4 laps, coming to 4 laps, 3 wide probably not the smartest thing to do, but sometimes you get antsy, you get a good run, and all you can do is just put it in the middle and see what happens.
Yeah, of course, that bright blue car, I believe that is Carmen Sienna, just trying it out, trying to go 3 wide, take it 3 wide on the inside of Connor Morris, and I can't quite tell who that is below her, but she's making it through and able to go onto the low line behind Joshua Gaiman here. And she's still going 3 wide. Kind of incredible. Kind of reminds me of myself with some of these moves, even though it might be a bit early for my taste, but wow. She's going through.
That's amazing.
Single car effort too. Yeah, single car effort.
She has no help whatsoever, and it's just because the people leading the lines are checking up, and this is just crazy right now.
She's side drafting pretty heavily on those cars, which of course is going to pull the truck back, as John Hagan behind her now getting a little bit squirrely. Watch out, almost hitting the wall is the L18 of Alyssa Pelletan Sharp, as I mean they're going 3 wide for the lead right now. That I believe that's the 3 car ducking down, does not want any part of this, and they're almost 3 wide for the lead, as Carmen Sienna is going to take the lead of this race just from those insanely just great moves early. And she's gonna hopefully lead this lap, as they're still 3 wide for the lead here.
3 wide, 2 deep. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all under a blanket. What a run by the 96 truck, just through the middle with no help whatsoever. And now she's leading this race. So everybody watched that and saw that. And trust me, they all got that in their back pocket for when they want to do that later on.
Of course, and now looking like it's back to 2 wide, as Connor Morse dives to the outside. Got a few cars trying to mix it up, going from bottom to inside, and wonderful driving there from Carmen Sienna, just to make that work. Of course, she can't really do that without the side draft either, slowing those cars in both lanes down, just to help her along. She's being pushed by the 28 of Leighton Myers in a Ricky Bobby inspired paint scheme, as Connor Morse leads the outside lane with Pacey Wygant close behind him.
Yeah, we knew Pacey was going to be fast, and he's showing that. There's another truck going down the middle.
That's like the 88 of John Hagan. Yep.
Yeah, we know John Hagan is a very aggressive driver. He's not going to be content with just riding behind another truck, so he's pushing the envelope, but it didn't work out as well for him as it did with Carmen.
Pacey Wygant, though, leaves Connor Morse out to dry and dives in front of John Hagan, to kind of in that third lane, that middle lane, as Alyssa Pelletan Sharp pushing Connor Morse now. And I mean, they're still racing hard, and we're only about 7 to 8 laps in to this race. Going to be 3 wide for the lead here pretty quick.
And sometimes I'm a strong believer that super speedway races sometimes are a popularity contest. I mean, if no one knows you, no one has raced with you, they are not going to work with you. If you've been around for a long time and you're respected, everyone in this field is going to want to push you to the win. So that's just kind of, Connor Morse is going to have to deal with that throughout this race, being fairly new, and several other drivers will have to deal with it as well.
Of course, and we see a little bit of a breakaway from the pack. Connor Morse won the charity race before last season's HTL Cup Series season, so I mean, he's no slouch either, at least on the short tracks, as we're looking at least 3 rows deep of 3 wide action here, and they're keeping this straight, which is quite surprising. Of course, the pack has whittled down. We're into about 2 packs now, one with 3 wide action and the other going single file, as the car that wrecked Mensch in the 94, sorry, fell a lap down. I believe he's in this pack somewhere.
Yeah, and that's okay for right now. I mean, he's probably the only one lap down. So as long as he just kind of keeps riding, stay out of trouble. If a caution comes out, you get that lucky dog, you'll be right back on the lead lap. You'll be back in this thing.
John Hagen falling through the middle a little bit here as Connor Morse dives to the inside to help him out. Carmen Sienna lost the lead, and it looks like it's going to Pacey Wygant now. I mean, they're still racing this pretty hard. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp still on the top side. Connor Morse leading the inside. Of course, Pacey Wygant being pushed by Carmen Sienna on that inside line. And that pack in the back is starting to catch up slowly. Of course, going 3 wide does not help this front pack at all in terms of speed. The cars there all in one nice straight line will of course be faster, so they're catching up pretty quick and going to be able to start competing up here in the front, as Alfred Denny on board with him behind John Hagen. A little bit of some squirreliness, almost a bad push there onto Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp's back bumper. Not sure who that was that made that push, but I mean, the pack's a little bit closer together, so of course might get a little bit more rowdy here.
Yeah, and as that second pack catches the front pack, it'll just get worse. I watched that second pack for a little bit. They had a little bit of disorganization, but finally they got back single file, and now they're right there with the front pack. You can see, I mean, they're all within just a few seconds of each other.
Of course, and Blake Henderson was in that second pack for a while, and looks like he's now fighting in the top 10 with Alfred Denny in front of him here. Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp lost out on the outside line, is shuffled to about mid-pack. See here on the right side of your screen now in the middle, just at the near end of the 2 wide action, as we're back to just more calm action. The 3 wide has stopped, back to some calmer racing on lap 12 here. I'm not quite sure what the pit window is, but I assume we're going to be seeing pit stops here in a few laps time, at least lap 30 at the latest. We're keeping it pretty green here. These drivers are doing a great job, as we're back to 3 wide racing. Alfred Denny and Blake Henderson going up into the outer lane, looking to make something here, as Connor Morse and Pacey Wygant are still leading this race, and they're getting a pretty good run here off that top lane.
Yeah, top lane's really good, especially on corner exit. If you have somebody really pushing you, like Blake is pushing Alfred right now, that top line is the supreme line. I mean, you just get such a good run coming off the corner exit. It's the place you want to be, but if a crash happens, there is nowhere for you to go.
Of course, they had a little bit of help there. It looked like Byron Jones went up there, and Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp was up there as well. But Connor Morse gaining a little bit on Pacey Wygant now in the lead. Blake Henderson and Alfred Denny still stuck up there in the top lane, 3 wide. They might like to come down or stick with it depending on what happens with these lanes, as Pacey Wygant and Connor Morse are still battling pretty hard for this lead up here in the front.
Yeah, crazy battle up here for the lead. I mean, this is some really good racing so far. Everybody's being pretty patient. There's been a few crazy moves, but nothing insane yet. But I'm sure that'll change as these laps continue to tick down. It's just going to get worse and worse.
John Hagen making a move to the outside. That's going to leave only 2 cars, Byron Jones and Connor Morse, in the middle. So they're going to stall out that middle lane, and John Hagen's going to look to take the lead of this race. Dives down in front of Pacey Wygant, and those are the 2 4-time winners from last season, Pacey Wygant and John Hagen. Of course, Pacey Wygant winning the championship. So this is kind of what we might be seeing for most of the season here, these 2 duking it out on these tracks. Well, not just this track, but for just the season in general.
Yeah, that was a pretty aggressive move by Hagen, but you know, that's the driver style he is and what he has. So, you know, he was clear, and he came literally from the wall down all the way to the double yellow line. So really, it wasn't a super aggressive move, but definitely a little risky there, but he made it work.
Of course, smoothing seems like things have kind of smoothed out now. Back to only just 2 wide action. I assume these drivers are starting to prep for maybe their pits here. They're keeping it pretty green. It looks like they're wasting a lot of fuel here running like this. Kind of most of the pack actually is pretty single file. So in this situation, I assume you're just going to be kind of hanging at the back trying to save some fuel, going as long on the fuel as possible.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, at this point, you know, again, with no stages, and I don't, like you said, I don't really know the exact lap that they can go on a tank of fuel, but yeah, everybody in the back is not only saving fuel, but they're also just waiting for that wreck to happen and be able to avoid it, you know, save the truck. That is the biggest thing. You know, if you get in a wreck here, your night could be over with here on lap 17, so.
Yeah, of course, and saving fuel is probably going to be part of, it's a huge part of the strategy here. The track is so big and the draft is so momentumous that you can almost stay about for me it's about 50% on the throttle, and I mean you're still saving fuel that way, and you're lifting off a lot to give those cars room on this checkup like Rance Lewin is doing here, almost pushing, I believe that was the 5 car out of the way into the chicane area on the back stretch.
They're wrecking back here into turn 3.
Looks like we got a bit of a wreck. Not
staying green.
Staying green, yeah. So now we have a caution. Trying to find the caution. It looks like that's going to be the 81 of Sosi involved. Not quite sure what happened. The 51 of Daniel Menzies there. Now let's go to a replay here and kind of just try and figure out what happens here at the back of the pack. I'm going to, looks like this might just be a stack up issue. Oh, listen, Pelletier Sharp gets super loose. Then the 51 turns Sosi into, I'm not quite sure what number car that is, but turns him into that and just creates a bit of a pile up, a chain reaction there going into turn 3 at the back. Another angle of this. On the following the 51, it looks like here a little bit of a slow motion view. So Alyssa Pelletier Sharp is already loose at this point. There's another car coming down the track, and just not really any checkup from the 51 there of Menzies into Sosi, turns Sosi around, grabs that black and white truck. I can't quite see the number on it, and then grabs the 51 again, and a few cars with some damage. I don't believe the damage on those is too horrible. It just seemed like a stack up. 51 did not see what was happening in that instance.
Yeah, it looked like they were just, I think they probably saw the 18 of Sharp kind of get in the grass, and by the time, you know, everybody checks up different, and that's just what caused it. But got some pit stops here.
Yep, some pit stops. It looks like the whole field is going to be coming down for fuel and some tires, maybe. Kind of depends on what your preference is. Usually on these pit stops, I like to take tires, but some of these drivers might just be taking fuel. Of course, the tire wear is not too heavy on this track, and I believe a lot of these trucks did not take tires, just a fuel stop, as I believe that is John Hagan coming first out of the pits, followed by Byron Jones and Pacey Wygent.
Yeah, a lot of quick pit stops there. You got to think that they topped it off on fuel there. Maybe some of the drivers, you know, that were in the back or definitely that were involved in that crash might as well take 4 fresh Goodyear tires. You're already back there in the back. You know, get you some extra grip and just prepare for the calamity that may be starting here soon. I mean, we're coming to lap 20 of 62. Like I said earlier, the intensity is only going to keep getting higher and higher.
Yeah, of course. And for me personally, if I'm somebody who spins during those wrecks, I usually just come in and take the four anyways, because spinning like that heats up the tires and of course wears them in the spin. So it's going to be a lot. So usually I feel personally it's a good idea just to take those tires, get some new ones on there, make sure that you just keep that tire where you want it to be. Of course, the track does not wear that much, but just still on those spins, that's kind of what I like to do, and I wonder if some other drivers feel the same in that instance.
Yeah, I do for sure. I mean, I know if I'm in a wreck, or even if I don't have damage, but if I just slid the tires or spun, I mean, it does affect your tires. And the truck, again, a complete different animal than the next gen. You know, the next gen's kind of planted. You really can't get it loose. These trucks, the handling is pretty important on a longer run where the tires do start to wear. So, yeah, if you spin, definitely come get tires. You got them, might as well use them.
Of course, and I feel like Daytona is one of those tracks where maybe if I'm at the front, I'm not taking tires, but if I'm at the back, as we are double file as well, John Hagan going to lead the field to green on this restart, going to be going green with about 41, 42 laps to go. What do you think of the racing so far? It's been pretty clean in my opinion. Some good racing, but also some fairly clean racing. I think it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we've had a couple incidents. You know, that first spin that the caution didn't come out. You know, that one kind of confused us a little bit, but they kept it green. And then, you know, this being the first caution of the night, I feel like they've been doing really good. And it's not like they've been riding around in a single file line. I mean, they've been racing. They've been 2, 3 wide. You know, 3 wide, almost 4 deep for the lead there for a few laps. So I think everybody's been doing pretty good so far. But you know, let's not knock on wood. Let's not speak too soon, because we're getting ready to unleash the beast here in a little bit, I believe.
Yep, for sure. And I'm not quite sure if they're going to have to make one more pit stop or not. They might have to. It's going to be one more pit stop, probably closer to the end of the race. We might see some people short pit it, but going to be coming green here onto the front stretch. Pacey Wygen in third on board, Byron Jones in second, and John Hagan going to have control of the restart. The pace truck pulls down into the pit lane, coming to the Geico restart zone. Pacey Wygen going before John Hagan there a little bit, pushing him to the line almost, as we are back green here at Daytona International Speedway. About 40 laps to go in this contest for these drivers.
Outside line got a horrible restart. I'm not sure if maybe that truck was in the wrong gear. I know I've done that before. You think you're restarting in second, but you're actually in fourth. So got a little bit of a late restart on the outside, and that now some trucks jumped up there on the outside line. Oh, there's one.
Oh, we got one spinner.
17 truck.
17 truck looks like into the chicane area. Looks like he's going to be able to keep it going. No caution flag, it appears, for that one, as we're still racing up front. John Hagan on the inside line, Pacey Wygen on the outside line. He was able to jump up after him and John Hagan got out to that fantastic start, as we're too wide and seeing some good action here going into turn 1.
Yeah, and you can see everybody. I mean, again, the intensity has picked up from the start of the race. Everyone trying to get that track position that they need, and hopefully we don't have any wrecks here, but everybody's looking like they're pushing just a little bit harder than they were 20 laps ago.
It is some trucks looking a bit squirrely. John Hagan jumped up to the outside lane, and Blake Henderson now leading the inside lane. Carmen Sienna pushing Blake Henderson, and she's pushing pretty hard on that back bumper, looking a little bit squirrely, moving around the lines. Whoa, big wreck in the trial. They're going to be coming back up on the track. Alfred Denny involved in multiple, gets hammered. Multiple cars going into the pit lane. Alyssa Pelletier Sharp involved. A lot of trucks with damage from this wreck.
Oh,
Bit of a
even before the
graveyard.
start-finish line, they're wrecking. I mean, it's wild.
Bit of a graveyard going on here on the front stretch past the start finish line. Looked like Oberstadt was involved within that wreck. Just a ton of trucks damaged here. The 94 of Mensch looked like he got through it cleanly. I believe he is still lapped down. Maybe Sosi looks like he got through it. That's a truck without the front end on it. Cannot tell who that is. Looks like the 08. Two trucks with their front end off of it. Sosi looks clean. Jonathan Adams, that palish car, front end taken off, and the right front.
Toe link is broke on that truck right there.
Yeah, that right front got a little bit of action going on here for Jonathan Adams. Gonna take a look at the replay here for this accident, see what happens here just to kick this all off. Looks like John Hagan comes down on Blake Henderson and it causes a bit of a chain reaction. The 5 Alfred Denny gets turned in the pack. It looks like he hits, I believe that is Bobby Blowers. They come spinning down into the tri-oval, come back up onto the track and just collect a ton of cars here. The 51 involved immense. Just a lot of calamity, a huge hit there on the back end. Alyssa Pelletier Sharp able to make it through it a little bit. Oh, not quite sure. It's just a graveyard after
it was literally, yeah, it's two different, like that wreck, and then there's this wreck here, and this wreck is what really collects most everyone. I mean, it's everybody, and that's the thing is drivers. Big
unfortunate there. I believe that's Austin Mongold. Unfortunate, trying to make it through. Car comes up in front of him. As we're gonna go back live to the on-track action, is a lot of these cars are gonna have to get repairs here for this incident, and basically the whole field comes down. I think I saw 2 cars stay out. That's gonna be the 25 of Blake Henderson and the 96 of Carmen Sienna.
That's telling me that I think even these trucks that pitted here are not going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, just because Blake and Carmen stayed out. So they saw no benefit in coming down. Obviously no damage for them, but the rest of the field, I think, honestly, other than those two, the rest of the field probably has at least somewhat of damage after that wreck. There was a bunch of trucks involved in that wreck.
It looked like the wreck kind of started with John Hagan and Blake Henderson sharing fenders a little bit. They're rubbing sides there in the tri-oval, and it kind of started to stack up. So I'm kind of surprised, quite frankly. They made, at least these two made it through it alive, as we see the first cars coming out of the pits. And for the most part, some of these cars look pretty clean. Some of them might have been in the way back and gotten through it. And a lot of lucky cars. We see Menzies in the 51 there in about 5th, 6th place, made it through it, and he was in the middle of it almost. Surprised he has not that much damage on his truck.
Yeah, and you know, luckily tonight everybody has that one fast repair. I have a feeling that a lot of those trucks just use that one fast repair right there.
For sure, and that's one less fast repair they have and no more. So I mean, if they're involved in another wreck, they're gonna have to get those optional or required repairs, or that's gonna be an early night done for them here at Daytona. Gonna take another look at the replay here. We see the 13, I believe that's Lee Frazier on the inside, looking here at the 08 of Jonathan Adams on board. As you see him coming through this wreck, trying to navigate through it. Not much braking, just gets kind of sidewinded by multiple people into the inside wall, spinning and comes to a stop. He's one of those cars that did not have their front bumper attached to that truck. On board here now with Steven Oberstadt. Through it, tries to go inside, hits somebody, and just gets turned around back onto the track. Looks like he might have gotten away with not that much damage. He didn't really hit anything too hard, but I mean, still quite a ride for those two trucks. The 08 of Jonathan Adams a lot of damage on that truck, as we saw.
Yeah, and as drivers, I mean, when you see a wreck, there's two different drivers on track. There's the ones that check up, and there's the ones that say, I can make it through. And a lot of the times, those two drivers usually meet on track. So that's exactly what happened there. You saw Jonathan Adams was trying to thread the needle and just didn't work out for him. And then other trucks that kind of slowed down, stayed out of it, but then got rear-ended by another truck. So it's sometimes it's, you know, you feel like you're doing the right thing, and no matter what you do, it turns out to be the wrong thing.
Sometimes you could be the truck that's on the brakes and you're just looking in your rearview mirror hoping that nobody hits you, just praying. I know I've been in that situation quite a few times on these tracks or even smaller tracks, but too wide here in turns 3 and 4. The lights on the pace car are out. Blake Henderson and Carmen Sienna going to be leading us to the green here, followed by John Hagan, and whoever is on the inside line cannot see it right now, but Dale Markowski in the 4th spot or 3rd, depending on how they lined up here. But pace car's off. Blake Henderson is going to lead these trucks to the green.
Green flag.
And green flag is out for the 3rd time here tonight at Daytona. And I noticed on the back end of Blake's truck, there was a bit of damage. It seemed a little bit bowed in on that back end, just caved in. So he might have gotten ran over at one point in that wreck as well.
I'll just give him a little extra downforce. He'll be just fine in that number 25 truck because he's still in the lead. John Hagan leading the outside line right now, coming down the back straightaway.
Blake Henderson jumped down almost right away in front of Carmen Sienna onto that inside line and allowed John Hagan to have free reign on the outside line, side by side now with Blake Henderson. They're they're racing pretty hard, as you can see the damage pretty obviously there, just a little bit caved in the middle of the back bumper of that truck. You can see it pretty clearly on his truck. I don't think that affects the car that much, but of course there's still an effect, and if you're the car behind it, it might affect your ability to push it somewhat, as there's not as much of a contact patch there to push.
For sure, yeah, that could be an issue. Right now, Carmen is doing a pretty good job of pushing that number 25 truck, even with the damage, as we are too wide, almost 10, 11 rows deep. This is where business starts to pick up. Coming to lap 29 of 62 here at Daytona. This has been a great race so far. I can't wait to watch. Oh, they're wrecking. 12 car, 00.
Looks like we got a wreck, and there's a car almost flipping. Some cars got some air. Looks like Byron Jones was possibly the one that got flipped. It looked like it was a pink and black truck, as Byron Jones' car is. Looks like just a ton of cars involved, some coming through now. Austin Mongold looks like he might have been involved. I think I saw the 34 Bobby Blowers at one point. Just another wreck off the rip here for the 4th caution of the night on lap 29.
00 truck almost saw the catch fence there. That was wild. I don't know what happened. We'll take a look at the replay when we get a moment, but the 00 definitely caught some air there on that wreck.
Shades of Kyle Larson almost in the Xfinity series. As we're gonna go to the replay here, see what happened here coming down into the tri-oval to cause this incident. Oh yeah, that is a huge impact for Byron Jones. Looked like somebody got turned around in front of him, and he was kind of just somebody that got taken along for the ride. Definitely gained air upon hitting that wall. See here, bit of movement in that line gets Byron spun. There's this car spinning downwards. Austin Mongold nowhere to go, and just some big time air. It doesn't look like he flipped all the way over on Byron Jones's truck, but he gets hit by a few cars. Looks like that's Connor Morse there and another red car in that McDonald's machine that looks like the number 16. Mongold gains a little bit of air too. So I mean, we got 2 cars gaining some air in this wreck. The 08 of Jonathan Adams almost involved again in this one. As we see a replay, car just gets squirrely out of line. I can't quite tell who that is in the middle. Hooks Byron Jones into the outside wall. Impact hard enough. Marcus Chafin is the one that turned him around. It just hooking Byron Jones into the outside wall, and it's calamity from there. Byron Jones just goes for a ride, and then Austin Mongold gets just kind of hammered from behind there. As we're back live to live action here. A lot of cars on pit road once again. Notably, Carmen, Sienna, and Blake Henderson went down pit lane this time.
Yeah, they're probably thinking now, especially with these cautions. Now, I mean, we all know under caution you can save a lot of fuel. You can turn the truck off, turn the ignition off, or even just clutch it and coast. Everybody has their own ways of doing it, but you can save a lot of fuel in these things under caution. And they're probably banking on having a few more cautions, and the more cautions you have, the longer you can go on fuel.
Yeah. Hearing a lot of cars have minute plus damage, which is going to be quite a long time in the pits. For some of those drivers, I believe you can get most of that damage done before the pace car comes back around to lap you in the pits. But that's going to be a big hit for a lot of these drivers that probably used that fast repair in that big incident that we saw earlier on lap about 21 or 22, whenever that third caution was.
Yeah, the problem with taking a fast repair, most of those drivers, they're going to be starting in the back, and that wreck happens, and you're already in the back, and now you're involved in it again. And that fast repair is no longer there for you to use. So that's unfortunate for those drivers that are having to fix that damage. But it's a big track, so you can definitely fix the damage. But we all know, even if it says all your damage is fixed, sometimes these trucks still just don't have the same speed as a brand new truck. So it's going to be a struggle for them throughout the rest of the night. But we could have a lot more wrecked trucks. You got to stay in it and never give up.
Yep, doubling up now here. Going to be going back green here shortly. The lights on the pace truck are out onto the backstretch. So far, 30 laps into this race, we have 32 laps to go, 3 cautions so far. I believe that was our 4th one that we just had. 9 caution laps, 8 lead changes, which kind of seems like a small amount to me for this kind of racing. But of course, they've been racing even, actually, no, that's quite a small amount, especially with how hard these trucks have been racing.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it seems like it's just across the finish. So that's I'd say that's probably an average number, but scoring can't count every time that a new leader happens. But I'm just excited to see the rest of this race. Hopefully they can clean things up, keep it green for a little bit here, because we all know once you get to about 20 to go, everybody's on edge, everybody's going to be pushing. There's no more give, it's all take. So we'll see if we can get there, but we're about to be going green here.
All right, pace car going down pit lane. Looks like we're going to have John Hagan leading the field to green here as we are back green for the 5th time here at Daytona International Speedway. 31 laps to go in this contest, and that's a huge jump for those about lead 5 or 6 trucks in front of the rest of this pack.
Yeah, shout out Dale Markowski up there running pretty good in that number 5 truck. He was on the outside line there, but John Hagan, still your race leader. He's a very good driver here at Super Speedways. He knows what he's doing.
Yep, going high to the high lane, going to leave the inside line open. We see a few trucks within the pack switching lanes, but John Hagan going up to meet the 5 of Dale Markowski in that high lane, and 2 wide throughout most of the pack. We got a little bit of 3 wide action in the back, but mostly too wide in this pack, a little bit of single file farther back. It looks like we're going to have hopefully some good racing once again here for the next 30 laps.
Carmen's trying to make her way back through the middle again. She was right there and now kind of drifts back up into the outside line, but man, she's got that middle line figured out probably better than anyone tonight.
Kind of shut down right now, especially with these cars. I feel like as the race goes on longer, the outside line goes a little bit lower, closer to the inside line, which kind of shuts down that middle a little bit more. So she might not be able to use that middle as effectively. We'll kind of see how she makes her way through the pack this time around, riding on board with DJ Trout on the high lane, pushing Dale Markowski and John Hagan in this outside lane. He looks like he's doing a pretty good job, even with the 5 of Markowski looking a little bit squirrely on the back of that 88 truck.
Absolutely, and shout out to the 31 of Rance Llewellyn, who gridded up and started this race in 22nd. He's down there leading this thing after 34 laps, so really good race for that truck tonight in the 31. As, oh, Blake's going to push it 3 wide there in the middle. Man, this is some really good racing.
Carmen Sienna is right behind him in that middle lane trying to make something work. The car almost comes up in front of them, the 27, and he's just trying to squeeze it in there. This might cause an accident. That's some pretty tight gaps that we're seeing. The trucks on the inside line are coming up into the lane that Blake and Carmen are trying to take, as there's a little bit of door slamming with Sosi there on the middle line, but they're trying to make this work, and they might gain some positions here and some speed coming through this turn.
Yeah, they're making it work. It's cool because you can see that they're in the middle, but that outside line in front of them kind of comes down, so they get that draft, and then Blake just sticks his nose in there. Really not anywhere for him to stick his nose, but he did it anyway. 25 is wanting to lead this race.
Blocked now by John Hagan, who came down with Dale Markowski to block that lane. Markowski then was shuffled into the outside line. We're 3 wide. Car blinked out there for a second. They're almost 4 wide, a little bit farther back, but I mean, they're racing pretty hard and they're keeping it clean so far. I'm not quite sure how long that is going to stick on lap 36.
You know, I would think that there was 10 laps to go. I'm not going to lie to you with this racing right now. This is crazy, but hey, it's been clean so far. Hopefully they can keep it up. Coming to lap 37 of 62. Still a long way to go, but they're getting crazy. There's one in the outside wall.
DJ Trout kind of riding the outside wall a little bit. I'm surprised he didn't really lose too much speed from just a little bit, a few lub taps onto the safer barrier there on the backstretch behind Dale Markowski in that outside lane. Only 3 trucks there. The 08 of Jonathan Adams with them after not having a front bumper on that truck. It's pretty good for him right now.
For sure. He got that fast repair, and that truck is ready to roll. The 25 goes low and puts John Hagan in the middle, right in front of Carmen Sienna. Dale Markowski is leading this race right now in that 5 truck.
Trying to block all 3 lanes here. Going to get the push from John Hagan. It looks like Hagan and Markowski are teaming up quite a bit here to try to make this work. Blake Henderson went low. I think they tried to get Carmen Sienna down behind him. Just did not work out for them in that instance, as Carmen Sienna was not clear of that low line. DJ Trout now leading the high line, though, and has a bit of a run. Let's see if Dale Markowski blocks here coming to the finish line. Doesn't look like it is. And just some solid 3 wide racing here for the lead.
Yeah, Dale and John Hagan, they are both come from the same, maybe not the same team, but the same affiliates. So I think they're going to work together here and stick together. But man, what racing we have. 3 wide, 6-7 rows deep. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to point out the 08 of Jonathan Adams is also up here. We see a few cars that were involved in these incidents. Connor Morse also up here, Austin Mongold at the front of these packs, and these were all trucks that were damaged from incidents. Of course, Jonathan Adams had the huge front end damage, did not have a front bumper as we saw in one of those incidents.
Yeah, now you see the top line. DJ Trout kind of dies down, only has one truck to help him. Another
Sosi jumps up.
Yeah, Sosi jumps up in front of DJ there. So you can see that just happens here at Daytona. You'll see one line will get momentum, and there goes Hagan and Dale to the top. Oh, this is going to get crazy.
Blake went into the middle. Oh, making huge. The 27 involved. The 28 also involved. There multiple trucks involved. The 20 still green though, as they're racing hard. Hagan is now the caution's out, as Hagan has the lead. 27 on the apron there. That was surprised. That was not a bigger wreck than what we just saw.
That was one of those NASCAR cautions. Took them about 15 seconds to hit the button, but we got it. We got the caution thrown, and yeah, I agree. That could have been way worse than it was. So good job, everybody. Staying out of the person or the truck in front of them. That could have been really bad, but only a few involved, and it didn't look like they had a whole lot of damage either. I think they'll be okay. Just maybe a wild ride through the grass down there.
Of course, caution back out for the 6th time, I believe that is. Now, no, the 5th time, sorry, in this race. Replay coming up here now. Let's see what happened here on the backstretch at Daytona. Looking like this started with Blake Henderson again getting a little bit squirrely, pushing cars down into the inside lane. The 37 I believe that is Martin Roberg on the apron already. Still, the 27 gets turned, and just kind of 3 cars there involved. The 28 also involved in that little Ricky Bobby scheme, but that is doesn't look like there's too much damage on those trucks, and they were able to keep it straight. Still surprised that the caution was not thrown earlier for those 3 trucks spinning out there. A little bit of left front damage there on the 28 truck.
Yeah, now for sure, I believe everyone can make it on fuel. If not, they're going to be very, very close.
No trucks.
Yeah, so I think every truck's on pit lane, filling those tanks up. Now you got to be careful. Oh, contact on pit road.
A little bit of contact on pit road. Austin Mongol losing that little right front fender there. Not sure who we made the contact with, but there was obviously some contact. I saw the right front fender fly off.
Yeah, Carmen was involved.
Let's see what happens here with Austin Mongold in the middle lane of the pit lane. Usually you don't want to do that. Oh, I see what happens. Carmen came out of her pit box. It looked like the 6, Pacey Wygant was trying to get into his pit box. And just a little bit of a pit road miscommunication there, as Austin Mongol did not see it happen and just kind of drove right through it. And that's kind of just unfortunate on all parts. Just a huge miscommunication on pit road. Those things just happen sometimes.
Man, I bet Austin Mongol is not happy in that number 92 machine. I mean, that's just, unfortunately, that's part of, especially this pit road, because you usually don't take tires. So if you have a truck that is up front, or as far as their pit stalls is up front, and they're in the back, by the time they get to their pit stall, the leaders are already leaving their pit stalls, and that looks like exactly what happened. And some damage there for some trucks that may have just taken a fast repair or may have just fixed some additional damage, and looks like Austin Mongol may come back down pit road here, unfortunately.
A few trucks coming back down onto the pit road. Jonathan Adams also among those trucks is John Hagan and Blake Henderson. 1-2 right now. Sosi close behind in 3rd. Dale Markowski in 4th, and Carmen Sienna in 5th. As they start to double up here, John Hagan elects to take the outside lane for this restart.
And with that many trucks going down pit road, I really think, because I'm not a fast race car driver, I am slow at best. I love strategy, and I just saw probably 10 or 11 trucks come down pit road. Some of them, yes, probably had some damage from that contact. I believe the rest of them topped off on fuel. So I think fuel is going to be very, very close here. So I'm excited to see who can make it on fuel if we keep it green, and what the different strategies are going to look like as we close in on 20 to go here, coming to 43 of 62.
Yep. So coming to it's coming to the green flag here in turns 3 and 4. 2 wide, a lot of trucks single file from, of course, pitting that second time. John Hagan in first on the outside line, Blake Henderson second, Joshua Sosi third, Dale Markowski in fourth, and Carmen Sienna in fifth. Top 5 here on the restart, coming on to the front stretch. John Hagan leading them to the green. The pace truck going to pull in momentarily on board with Dale Markowski for this green flag restart, and we are green. John Hagan leading them to our 6th green flag of the day. Too wide throughout the pack on this restart. So some single file. Actually, the outside line is kind of dying out a little bit. Blake Henderson in the lead, being pushed by Josh Sosi. John Hagan, though, trying to make a comeback on that outside line.
Yeah, he's going to make a comeback unless somebody blocks him, which they're trying to. His truck is 4 lanes wide right now in that number 25 truck. John Hagan right there with him, though.
Yeah, Hagan just trying to stay on Dale Markowski on his bumper once again, and seems like a little bit more of a tame restart than other restarts we've seen so far tonight. Still some hard racing as John Hagan makes a move to the outside. Blake Henderson now stuck in the middle in that sucker hole. Not where you want to be in this situation, especially with 19 to go in the race.
No help for the 25. 18 lets the 25 down on the inside, but definitely lost a lot of spots there, being in that middle line with no help.
On board with Carmen Sienna in the 96, third in the inside lane, pushing Gaiman and Sosi in front of her. Looking back at the field, just a lot of single file, some too wide, as a huge checkup it felt like there for Carmen going into the turn. It looked like Sosi got a little bit loose coming onto the backstretch. Just feel like they're snaking quite a lot on the backstretch. It just seems like they're moving the wheel quite a lot. I know that sometimes it kind of depends on how far back you are in the pack, but still I feel like they're moving around a lot. They don't look very stable.
Yeah, handling probably not at its best, and they're pushing these trucks probably the hardest they have all night, with only 17 to go here at Daytona. Like I said, as the laps tick down, the intensity is going to pick up. A little bit of a calm before the storm here, as Joshua Gaiman's going to go on the outside of Sosi there. This is Sosi really good.
Stuck in the middle. He's stuck in the middle, just like Blake Henderson. Banished to the middle of the pack. Blake Henderson now making it too wide in the middle. Carmen Sienna gonna go up with him, with Lewins on the inside lane, leading Alyssa Pelletier Sharp down there, as it looked like a little bit of tandem drafting we got going on. Throwback to the 2009 days of super speedway racing.
The good old days. But yeah, they are 3 wide up here, battling for the lead. Everyone is keeping it straight for now, but this is getting really sketchy here.
Carmen Sienna leading this pack with Blake Henderson once again. Those two meeting up and pushing each other at the front of this field, and just hard racing throughout the pack. Of course, 16 to go as these laps wind down. They're bound to get more restless, trying to make moves, trying to gain whatever spots they can. We do have a small pack tailing single file behind. They should be able to catch up pretty quick with how these trucks in front are racing.
Yeah, that's the pack I think I'd want to be in right now with 15 to go. Keep me away
Huge
from this.
block. Wow.
Yeah, big block. Keep me away from this madness up front. This is getting crazy up here. They're about to wreck some trucks here.
Yeah, Sosi tried to go into the high lane in front of John Hagan, and John Hagan just took him his spot in the middle lane, and then Blake Henderson filed up to in front of Sosi, ducking out from behind Carmen Sienna.
Carmen gets a good run in that middle line. Alyssa Sharp pushing the bottom line, but they lose a lot of steam going into 3 and 4. The middle and the top line with a lot of momentum coming out of turn 4.
On board with John Hagan here behind Carmen Sienna, just nice pushing onto the front straightaway, racing hard with Blake Henderson and Sosi in that outside lane. Getting a good view through the tri-oval of just how close these trucks are to each other, is how high pressure these situations are for these drivers.
Yeah, my heart rate's up right now, and I'm not even racing. I'm just up here calling it, and I'm excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Carmen
Lewins.
Yeah,
Ooh.
What a block for the pulled up in front of Carmen there.
First race in the HTL Hammer Down Truck Series, and he's doing everything he can to keep this lead position with 14 to go. Had Alyssa Pelletier Sharp kind of push him up to the front there. Whoa, the 51 just almost wrecked, almost came back in front of DJ Trout, and then 93. That was a close call for that midfield.
Good move.
DJ,
yeah, good move by DJ to check up there. That was a class act right there. If he didn't check up, he would have wrecked a lot of trucks. So good move by DJ Trout right there.
Very heads up from him as we are 3 wide for the lead. John Hagan, Lewins, and Blake Henderson fighting for this lead 3 wide throughout the pack.
Yeah, this is getting crazy. I can't even see who's who. There's so many trucks all together. This is crazy as we come to 12 to go this time by.
Morse back up to the front of the field as well, involved in a few accidents, as well as Oversad there in the 8 behind Dale Markowski in the middle lane. We do have quite a long line behind these guys. Wrecking. Oh, that is a ton of cars in the high lane. Looks like Pelletier Sharp involved, the 5 of Dale Markowski involved, as well as the 21 of Alfred Denny. Bobby Blowers looks like he got through it quite clean, as well as Byron Jones. Looks like only about a 3-car incident there happened in the middle of the pack. Dale Markowski was the 3rd car in the middle lane. Jonathan Adams looking clean. Dale Markowski was one of those ones in the wall attached to Alfred Denny. That's the 6th caution of the night with 12 to go here at Daytona. That's quite huge for the pacing of this race, and it's only gonna get more wild from here on out.
For sure, this is gonna be wild. I mean, there's been some really good racing all night, but this is really about to get crazy.
All right, let's look at the replay here and see what happened here in the middle of the pack. Looks like Dale Markowski might have turned into Alyssa Pelletier Sharp. Gonna ride on board here with Dale Markowski just to see what happens here on the front stretch. 3rd car in line, looks like he might have gotten turned or bounced off of Sosi into Pelletier Sharp and just gets hooked into the wall and is along for the ride at that point. Nothing he could really do. On board now with Joshua Gaiman. In the slow motion, let's see if we can kind of spot what happens here. Looks like Pelletier Sharp comes off of the inside line a bit. Sosi comes down a bit, kind of just pinches Markowski, and just kind of an accordion effect. Markowski gets loose, collects Pelletier Sharp, Denny, Gaiman a little bit into this, as well as Steven Oberstadt. just a bit of a reaction. It looks like Gaiman doesn't have much damage, as well as Markowski and Oberstadt. All things considered, quite a small incident for this late in the race.
Could have been way worse, that's for sure. I mean, it's hard to check up. I mean, when you see a wreck in front of you, by the time you hit the brakes, it's too late. So, good job by everybody, honestly, to not make that worse than it was.
Everybody in the pits. John Hagan was the leader, one of the lead cars at least, and he's now down into the pits. A lot of people probably coming for some fresh Goodyear tires. No, that was a fuel stop. That was quite a short stop there for John Hagan.
Yep, fill those tanks up. Now you can make it. Now you let that truck eat and hope it comes back in one piece.
Yeah, basically everybody pitting here. Few cars involved, like Pelletier, Sharp into the pits, as looks like a few cars stayed out. The 78 of Richard Odie, and I cannot tell who that is second behind him. Let's see if I can spot it. Steen Clavitt in the 56. Those are the only two that stayed out, and they're gonna have control of this restart here in front of John Hagan and Connor Morse.
Yeah, that's bold, but if they have enough fuel, hey, you got good track position now. With, we'll probably be right at 10 or under 10 to go when we take the green. So track position is key here. I mean, and you cannot make up 20 positions in 2 or 3 laps. So we'll see how it works out for these two that stayed out. But I like that call.
Quick race summary for you. Got 52 of 62 underway, only 10 laps to go, 6 cautions, hasn't updated yet, 13 caution laps, and then 19 lead changes so far in this race. Been quite a good one, and going back to the fuel point, of course, being under caution saves fuel, but also being at the front of the pack, diverting all that air for the other cars also takes up more fuel than it is if you were 3 cars deep or even like 5 cars deep.
Absolutely. I mean, that's if you're leading the pack, you're going to be using way more fuel than somebody mid-pack, or especially in the back of the pack. So if they are worried about fuel, you definitely are a little worried leading these lines with only, looks like it'll be 8 to go when we take the green flag. So things are about to get crazy. Everybody watching, y'all stay tuned. This is going to get wild.
Yep, Odie and Clavitt going to lead this field to the green, doubling up now 1 lap before green. This is going to be quite a crazy restart. Hagan and Morse going to be behind these two in the 3rd row, and then Sienna and Lewin on the 3rd row. It's going to get crazy. Of course, Hagan had the 4 wins. Odie raced in the National Series last season, and Clavitt in the Truck Series last season as well. I believe he might have raced in the National Series as well, but most of these drivers at the front are known names and very, very good at what they do.
The thing that's crazy to me is after all these laps with only 8 to go when we take the green, we still have all 33 trucks on the lead lap. That is wild, and that is really cool. That's a good thing for all these drivers in the field. They have taken care of each other tonight, and it shows with all 33 trucks with a shot still here, theoretically, to get a good finish or potentially win this race.
Not a single one a lap down. Of course, anything could happen at these races. The whole field could wreck. You could be last place, and the whole field could wreck in front of you, and you could win it. Nobody quite knows for sure. John Hagan's on board here, coming off of turn 4, seeing the huge grandstands here at Daytona, looming far above the cars. A big crowd tonight here at Daytona, as we're going to see the pace car jump down into the pits shortly. Richard Odie and Dean Clavitt on the front row, coming into the Geico restart zone, and we are green with 9 to go here at Daytona International Speedway. Odie out to a great position here on that restart. Clavitt still holding the outside lane. Hagen close behind Odie, and almost a bad bump into turn one. Hagen's going to make it 3 wide with Connor Morse and Odie. Odie is going to get shuffled back to Carmen Sienna, but Hagen has the help of Sosi behind him as Clavitt comes down to block Hagen, and they overrun Hagen. Sosi, Sienna, Odie.
Yellow flag is out.
3-4 big names involved, and the caution is out for the 7th time tonight. That is going to be huge for this race. 3 big front runners, of course. Hagen, Sosi, Sienna, Odie, all involved in this accident.
Cautions breed cautions, and we will continue with that. And yeah, like you said, Eli, I mean, that was 3 front runners. John Hagen, Carmen, Sienna, both of them have been up front pretty much all night long, and now, unfortunately, they're going to be mired back in traffic. And we're going to continue to tick down the laps and getting closer and closer to that O word of NASCAR overtime.
Yep, of course, going to be looking like we're going to be going to replay here in a moment, as we're going to see what happens here on the front stretch. The accident's already happened at this point. It looks like this kind of starts with Hagen and Odie almost in turn 3 getting a bad push, but off of turn 4 here, Moore's close to Hagen. Sosi middle, Hagen also middle. Looks like Sosi might have come down on Sienna, and that spins Odie into Hagen. Sosi off of the 31 of Lewin, and all of them just go down towards the pits and the infield area of the tri-oval. Just a tough break for all these cars involved, being so high up in the standings throughout most of this race. It looks like Sienna might have gotten clipped the orange cone there at the start of pit road.
Very frustrating for, I know, me as a driver. You know, you get so close to the end and then something happens and now you're back, you know, mid-pack or even maybe all the way at the back of the pack. And like we said earlier, all 33 trucks were on the lead lap, so it's not like you're going to restart 18th or 19th. You're going to 33rd, and that is going to be hard to recover from with only a handful of laps left. Yeah, the 34, I believe, just wrecked under caution, and he is upset with someone. He just doored. I don't know who that was. Didn't catch.
Looks like he went down into the pits. Let's see if we can kind of find out what happened. Bobby Blowers involved in multiple accidents tonight. Let's kind of see what happens here with this replay.
Yeah, he was upset for sure, so he's not happy.
Oh,
yeah.
It ran into the back of. I'm not quite sure who that car is. I can't quite make out the number, but he just gets ran to the back of and hits the outside wall, causing some damage to that truck.
Yeah, anytime you have someone door someone on pit road entrance, you know they're mad.
Yeah, it's just I don't know who that is. Jaden Bingaman in that 82 truck just does not hit the brakes and puts Bobby Blowers basically into the wall. I would be absolutely living in that situation as well, especially with how late in the race we are. And Bobby Blowers has probably already used his faster bird at this point. He's been involved in multiple cautions to this point in the race.
Yeah, there is nothing more frustrating than you just checking up for the field and then somebody not paying attention, whether they're on their phone or taking a drink or, you know, whatever. They run into you. Man, it does. It gets you hot as a driver.
Bingaman also new to the series. This is his series debut, so not a very good first impression for him. But too wide now. Looks like, oh, sorry, no, we're still, lights are still on the pace truck, but a few cars had to go down pit road there. And I believe that is the 51. Oh, wait, is that? No, that's the 56 of Clavitt, sorry, in the lead. with, it looks like the 89 of Connor Morse taking second place, going to be on this restart, and I believe they're going to restart with about 3 laps to go. So it's almost a green and white checkered, you could say, for what is hopefully the final restart of this race.
Hopefully the last restart of the race. I like your optimism, but I'm gonna say probably not. But yeah, I mean, us drivers, we sometimes, you know, we get a little antsy, and then, you know, the lights on the pace truck are still on, but we're lined up, we're ready to go, we're ready to fire these things off, and I'm ready up here in the booth. This has been so much fun tonight, and we're not even done yet.
Almost a whole field going to be 2 wide on this restart. A lot of calamity, but also a lot of good racing tonight. Bit of a front end shakeup as well with that accident. You can see Carmen, Sienna all the way there in the back, as well as John Hagan. Just unfortunate, but they've got to get through this, and they can still make it to the front of this pack feasibly by the end of this race if we get a few more cautions, of course.
Absolutely, and y'all will have to refresh me because I don't remember. Do they have unlimited green white checkers in the truck series, or is it set to a certain amount?
I cannot recall either. I believe it is unlimited, but I mean, we'll just have to find out for ourselves here. Gonna be 3 to go on this restart, of course.
One of those natural green white checkers. You love to see it. It's going to be
quite close.
It's going to be fun.
Of course, gonna hopefully get at least 3 green flag laps here, green, white checkered. So we'll see how this goes. Rance Lewin in third, of course. Dean Clavitt in first. Connor Morse to his outside. That's your top 3 for this restart. The lights on the pace truck are out. Pulls into pit road. Dean Clavitt going to have control of this restart here as he goes into the Geico restart zone, and we are green with 3 to go here at the Daytona International Speedway. A tremendous jump in the middle, leading the pack. A lot of calamity, a lot of movement going on in the pack. Dean Clavitt blocks the outside. Blake Henderson going to be owned by contact. Connor Morse is spinning in front of the pack. This is going to be a huge one, a huge wreck for the 28. A lot of cars going to be involved in this one. They're still wrecking to this point. Gaiman involved. Byron Jones looks like he might have gotten through it. Hagan might have gotten through it. Blowers might have gotten through it, but that is a lot of trucks, and we're going to have officially now NASCAR overtime in the HTL Truck Series here, the Henderson Graphics 250.
And it is only 3 green white checkers. I just checked my screen here. Green white checkered attempt 1 out of 3. So there is a little bit of a time limit here. Only 3 attempts, but a lot of trucks right there, I think, are going to be seriously damaged. That was a big wreck.
That was a big one. It was the 28 truck that just took a huge, gigantic hit. It looked like the front end of that truck came off right away. Just a bunch of cars involved, and I mean, that's kind of what you get here. Is Rance Lewin going to be at least leading the race for the most part here if he does not pit?
I think at this point, unless you're about to run out, you stay out. That's even if you're going to run out, maybe stay out anyway. I don't know. It's green white checkered. You never know. It could end this first one, or we could use all 3. So we've had a couple trucks pull it behind the garage, just like Marcus Chaffin has pulled it in the garage, as well as Joshua Gaiman. So both of them are done for the night.
It looks like Connor Morse pitted. He was up front there a little bit. He was actually the car that spun that started that entire thing, so he's actually probably got some damage. But I mean, he was still, even with wrecking, pretty far front. As we see a replay here of what happened, Blake Henderson squeezing the outside lane, and Dale Markowski looks like they almost might have been 4 wide there as Connor Morse gets spun down in front of the pack. The 28 of Myers, I believe that's Myers, takes a huge hit into that outside wall, reminiscent of just some of the scary wrecks we've seen at Daytona. Few cars going just on their side here. Let's see if we can get another view of Connor Morse here on the back of Alfred Denny. See these cars hitting the wall in front of him, and he just gets turned in front of the pack. Nowhere to go. The 28 gets hooked.
Big
And
hit by the 28.
That is just a gigantic hit. Menzies involved. A ton of cars involved. Mongold involved. Just wow, huge hit. That is a monstrous hit. It must have been going at least 180, 170 when he hit that outside safer barrier.
Very scary. Looked a little bit like Ryan Blaney or Eric Jones crash. That's a big hit.
That is gigantic. I mean, they're still wrecking at this point. Bingman and the 23 of Santiago still getting into it at this point. I mean, that's almost a graveyard again, except a little bit more active than what we saw on the front stretch a few caution flags ago.
Hey, we said never give up. Carmen Sienna restarted 32nd before that crash. She is now in 19th. So never give up here at Daytona. You always have a shot. And one more big wreck, and if Carmen can make it through again, 19th turns into 9th. Now you're looking at trying to win this thing. So never give up here at Daytona.
Yep, and they're going to be too wide here for our first green-white checkered at Daytona International Speedway for the Henderson graphics. 250 looks like Rance Lewin going to lead them to the green. On the outside is going to be Dean Clavitt in third. Blake Henderson in the 25. Outside of him, DJ Trout in the 93. Then Alfred Denny in the 21 to round out your top five. And still a few names in contention here outside of that, namely Josh Sosi, Byron Jones in the top 10 yet. And I mean, this is going to just be hopefully a good race here to the finish. We might end this under caution. Who knows?
Let's hope not. Let's hope we get it green. But shout out to the 24 truck of Kyler McCarthy in 7th right now. Haven't said his name all night long, and he's up there in 7th, ready to battle. I mean, it's so cool. That's why I love Daytona. I mean, no laps led. He's like I said, we haven't said his name all night, and here he is. He's got a shot to win this thing.
Highest position of the race, it looks like in 7th. Me personally haven't heard his name before, but he's pulling on quite an impressive performance so far, in a good position late in this race to lead to win it, as well as just everybody else that's in the top 10, top 15 even has a shot to win this race.
Absolutely. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. We'll see if we can do it in one green white checkered. I don't know, but I'm praying for him.
Right on board with DJ Trout here. See him behind Dean Clavitt, who is restarting second. Rance Lewin starting first, going to have control of this race. Pace car pulls off, coming into the Geico restart zone. Rance Lewin leads us to the green for our first overtime restart here at Daytona International Speedway, and they are underway. Racing hard already. 3 wide. It is go time for most of these drivers. A lot of movement. Rance Lewin on the inside of that 31, contending with Blake Henderson, who is leading the outside lane here. Dean Clavitt fell back a while to 5th in that outside lane, and they are racing hard. The outside line is squeezing that inside line. DJ Trout almost getting around Blake Henderson on the outside line. Blake Henderson blocks that lane, and they are racing hard. 1 lap to go here at Daytona International Speedway.
One to
Blake
go. This is
Henderson.
it. This is it. They're coming back either for the checkered or the end of the race. This is going to be crazy.
2 wide for the lead here. Blake Henderson gets turned. Alfred Denny is going to win this race. That's going to be a big one. But Alfred Denny, most importantly, no yellow yet. Actually, this could still be anyone's race. Pannell behind Denny. Let's see if he's going to make any moves to try and pass Denny here. Pannell and Denny coming to the finish. Looks like he's just going to be pushing. No, he goes to the outside. Is Denny going to block? Denny is not going to block. It's up to Christopher Pannell and Alfred Denny coming across the line. This is going to be a photo finish. It's going to be Pannell for the win here. What a fantastic final lap from these two drivers. A 2-horse race. I was a bit premature on the call, thinking it was going to be a yellow, but Christopher Pannell comes through to beat Alfred Denny to the line. Our first race winner of season 2 in the HTL Hammered Down Truck Series.
What a finish. Good job to Christopher Pannell. He had that run. It was just the 2 of them. The rest of the field wrecked. That was crazy.
Absolute superb stuff from Christopher Pannell. He restarted about 8th on that restart. Alfred Denny coming in second, thought he had it, but Christopher Pannell basically came out of nowhere to seal that up. Just a huge race for Christopher Pannell here. Our first race winner of the season wins the Henderson Graphics 250 as he's going to burn him down on the start-finish line for the crowd here in Daytona Beach.
What a race. That was great. Great finish. Huge wreck, but Christopher Pannell makes it happen in that Ford F-150.
Unfortunate for Rance Lewin, had a spot to win it into the outside lane, not able to get it done, gets hooked, but sometimes that's just racing at these super speedways. Christopher Pannell still burning it down. He's letting that smoke fly. He's excited about this one. He's very happy about this. Huge win for Pannell here to start off the season. That's going to get us his momentum going into the next races. Great as see Rance Lewin getting a little bit of a push there to the line by Bobby Blowers, it appears. Some good sportsmanship by the Orlando Outlaws team here, just to push their friend to the end here.
Everyone's got to finish. That's good stuff right there. You got to make sure your teammate crosses that start-finish line, as there he does.
Lightning McQueen. That's how it's done. And he's gonna burn him down for good luck.
Hey, he helped his teammate. He deserved it. How about Martin Roberg finishing 3rd? I don't think we said his name all night long, and there he is getting a podium finish.
Yeah, good race for him. Insane. Just race all around as we're going to take a look at the results. Christopher Pannell takes home the victory over David Spiel Jr. Not quite sure what happened to Denny there. Let's make sure our results are right here. That is quite odd. Perhaps Denny was disqualified. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know.
Pannell, anyways, takes the lead. I believe Denny in second, Smeal in 3rd. It's kind of odd not showing up right for us.
Yeah, it's showing. For me, it's showing Alfred Denny in 16th. That's
so
wild.
Perhaps Denny was disqualified. Looks like it is just a glitch. It looks like we're just going to be interviewing David Smeal 3rd. Of course, Alfred Denny coming in 2nd, and then Christopher Pannell 1st. I don't know why I couldn't remember who came first. But of course, great race there for us. And let's bring in our first interviewee here, David Smeal Jr. in the 27. David Smeal, how did that race feel for you tonight with your third place finish?
That was that was a lot of stress that last 10 laps, I think. That restart was just absolutely crazy. I was all the way in the back. I had to pit on that last yellow, and we came through, and I just saw absolute calamity in front of me off two. So it was just find the hole and not get caught up. So a lot of luck involved with that one.
Of course, and of course you were in the back a little bit, you were in the front a bit. How did the car feel to you tonight? Did it feel good? Were you struggling with anything? How did you feel in the pack?
It was a little bit of a handful in the corners just for my personal taste, but I mean, for super speedway racing, I mean, you got to be ready to adjust at a moment's notice and follow the runs and make sure your surroundings at all times, watch everybody around you. And it was nice to get locked down for a little bit. It was nice to be able to feel out the draft a little bit, and luckily it worked out at the end. So
And of course, starting your season off with a third place finish has got to feel great. How are you feeling going forward into the rest of the season and these next few rounds?
feels pretty good. I mean, you always want to start the season off on a high note, so I will very gladly take. I don't know where we shook out 2-3, whatever it might have been, but I'll gladly take that result. Go on to next week to a track like Fontana. I love that place, so hopefully just keep racking up good results, keep stacking my pennies into points, and maybe pick up a win or two along the way.
And you finished second because Denny had penalties. So congratulations on the second place. Ryan, do you have any questions for David?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I just watched the replay. You're driving through that wreck. Amazing. I mean, that was crazy. Good job to you to come home. Would have been third, but hey, you got a little luck, and now you get a P2. So awesome driving through that wreck, man. That was awesome.
Thank you. That's a lot of patience, and luckily, like for so many years, I've done super speedway stuff for fun with my with a couple of my buddies. So it felt good to put that to good use, get a good result, and I gotta thank Susie. He brought me over to come do this, and everybody on the team, him, everybody in our group, him, Kyler, Jaden, Gaiman, all those guys. Shout out to them for bringing me here. That was a lot of fun. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody here. That was so much fun. I'm excited to see what we get next.
All right, thank you. We're gonna let you go, and congratulations on the second place finish. Have a good rest of your night, man.
Thanks, man.
That was David Smeal in the 27, finishing second after Denny was disqualified. Next, we're going to bring in Martin Roberg, I believe, who finishes third because of Denny disqualification. So let's bring him in and interview him here. Martin Roberg, do you got a copy?
I got you.
What a great race! Able to get into third with the Alfred Denny disqualification. What were you thinking on that final restart? What were you seeing? How are you able to get through that absolutely massive wreck?
I honestly went into that really frustrated because I had kept the car clean all race and then got involved in the big one right before. I thought I had just lost my shot, so I didn't really have a plan. I knew they were going to wreck on the final lap, so I wanted to be on the bottom, and it just kind of worked out for me there where everyone wrecked but not into me. So that was definitely a bit of luck, but I don't know. I'll take whatever I can get at this point.
Of course, and of course, how was your car feeling throughout the rest of the day? How are you feeling in the packs? We had a lot of tight racing, a lot of some incidents. Just how are you feeling throughout the rest of the day? Everything feel good for you?
Yeah, it felt good. I wish I could actually be part of it. I was kind of in fuel saving mode most of the race, and as soon as I tried going, it just didn't really work out for me. Like the racing was really good. There was a lot of times that I thought the field was going to wreck and they didn't, and it was certainly nice to see that it was a very for super speedway standards, a very clean race with a lot of good pack racing. Definitely gives me a lot of confidence for how the season's going to go.
Cool, and of course, going back on that last comment, of course, the third place finish puts you in a great position for at least the next few races. How are you feeling going into the rest of the season with the next few races coming up being Fontana and Las Vegas?
I'm feeling pretty good. I felt like last season towards the very end, I got things going, and I'm just kind of picking up where I left off. Albeit this is pretty lucky to have gotten the top 5 today, but I think the speed's going to be there. It's certainly nice to start off with a very strong finish, and hopefully I can keep it going.
Sometimes luck is all you need. Ryan, any questions for Martin?
No, I just want to say, man, I even brought it up to Eli earlier. Well, I don't think we said your name one time all night until the end of this race, and we were like, wow, here he is. He finished third. How'd he do that? And it was just great wreck avoidance. So congrats to you. A really good race, and you come home third. So a really good start to your season.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and one last question before we let you go, and anyone you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out all of my teammates. I'm not going to list them by name because there's a lot of them at this point, so I don't want to forget anyone. Um, it's certainly nice to go into these races with a lot of people to work with, just bouncing ideas off of. Like, I didn't even really get linked up with any of them for most of the race, but just kind of hearing how things are going from them really helped me know who I could push, where I could push, and that really, I think that helped me get into the position in the final restart that I needed to be to get down to the bottom, be around people that once the wreck happened wouldn't take me out, and yeah, just thanks to my team, especially for bringing me back. It got kind of rough in the playoffs last season, but very grateful that I get to do this again.
Of course, of course. Thank you for your time. We're gonna let you go and just have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
All right, that was Martin Roberg in the 37 with a third place finish, and now we're going to bring in the winner of tonight's race, Chris Pannell in the 94. Chris Pannell, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. A win for you tonight. You must be feeling ecstatic. How'd you get it done? What were you feeling when you crossed the line? And just what a wild restart for you, I'm sure.
Oh man, it's crazy. That last caution there before it came out, I was like 15th or 18th, and then they wrecked again in front of me, and my whole purpose was just to finish. I mean, these plate races has not been very good to me in the past, and I was just going to do my best to push Angel or Dean or one of my deep teammates to the front. And next thing I know, the bottom line on the restart, bottom line gets going, top line doesn't, and then all of a sudden, last lap, cars are just going everywhere coming out of 2, and I was able to squeak by, and I was content on pushing Al of the win because Al, he's HTL. I mean, he's a good deep friend, deep racing friend of mine, and he deserved it just as much as anybody. But I mean, I had a run on him, and I knew he had a little bit of damage, so I went right and took it. And yeah, it's awesome. I hung around the back all night just because I was trying to avoid chaos most of the night, and I was there at the end, and that's all that matters. I'm so excited. This is my first plate race win ever, I think, if not pretty close in the trucks. So just to be up there and battling in the end is awesome. I'm so super excited.
Of course, and a great way to start off your season, I'm sure. How are you feeling going into the next few rounds and overall for the rest of the season?
Well, I'm scheduled to run part-time right now because I wasn't planning on committed to full-time. But with the win here, things might change, being an HTL admin too. So, I mean, I regardless, I'm going to be in the series, either RCN or racing. So I got a lot to think about the next few days and see if I want to just run the rest of the season and run for the playoffs. But I'm feeling pretty good. Auto Club, I really like it. It's a fun track. You can move around everywhere on it. You can run the bottom, middle, top. It's just a fun track to drive. So I'm actually looking forward to next week as well, and hopefully being back in Victory Lane again, talking to you guys.
Great. And of course, just how are you feeling how are you feeling throughout the first like stages of the race before everything kind of started to get a little bit crazy close to the end?
Well, I was feeling pretty good. I was able to draft real well. I mean, I was in Discord with Dean trying to talk to him, and my disc kicking and being patient with everybody, just trying to ride in the back most of the night. And that's pretty much where I was, back in the back, and just waiting for all the big ones to happen because I knew it was going to happen. It's super speedway racing, and just it was nice. It was nice to be there at the end because usually it doesn't always work out for me. 99% of the time at these places, it doesn't work out for me. So just that one time is awesome, and it's awesome it happened tonight. I'm glad I was able to pick up that win tonight.
All right, cool. Ryan, any questions for Christopher?
Absolutely. I gotta bring it up, man. You started 32nd out of 33 trucks tonight, and you won this race. How in the world do you come from 32nd and win this thing? Awesome performance. Good job avoiding that wreck. I mean, just how do you do that?
Well, quite my favorite driver, BK, man. He does the same thing. Just this place takes a lot of luck, and drafting takes us a lot of luck and a lot of being at the right place at the right time. And I was able to be there when it mattered the most. It's not always it's fastest truck at Daytona doesn't always matter, or Talladega. You know, you can be 7/10, 8/10 faster than me, and I could be there at the end. So regardless, I'm just happy. This is awesome. And I wasn't running that paint scheme, by the way. I don't know what's going on with trading paints tonight. It was kind of weird, but it was awesome to put my scheme in victory lane. It was pretty cool. No one else say more, guys. Sorry, I'm going to keep going.
No, it's fine, man.
I think I woke up my kids. My kids are sleeping right now, and I think I woke them up screaming, hooting, and hollering.
Sometimes that happens.
Okay.
We'll let you go, but one last question. Anybody you wanted to thank for tonight's win?
Obviously, thanks to you guys, baby, and you guys and Carmen for putting this on broadcasting. We appreciate it. Thanks to Blake, owner of HTL. Last season, he brought on me and Dean to run the truck series. Obviously, Hammer Down was me and Dean's series before, and he kind of helped revitalize it and help us get some notoriety. And I appreciate him for that, and I appreciate Dean for helping me. He put a lot of work into this the last couple of weeks, getting everybody ready. I appreciate everybody that ran tonight. It was an awesome field tonight, awesome race. Obviously, thank you to Deep Racing, man. It killed my soul to take that win from Denny, but I heard he got DQ'd anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But and then thanks to my Deep teammates, I appreciate those guys. Premium Racing Club, I joined on with them in the Cup Series this season. Obviously, thank you to my beautiful wife, who's actually not here right now. She's busy working. But she deals with me spending money doing this, so I appreciate everything she does. And it's also our 15-year anniversary tomorrow, so yeah, maybe this is a little bit win for her with her colors on the car. So
Cool. So we'll let you go. Enjoy the win, man, and have a good rest of your night. And we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
That was Christopher Pannell, tonight's race winner. And let's look at the results once more. Christopher Pannell, of course, tonight's winner. David Smeal Jr. in second. Martin Roberg in third. John Matthews in the 98. I don't think we said his name at all tonight. Finishing fourth. Pacey Wygant, last season's champion, in fifth. Connor Morris, the 89, in sixth. Joshua Sosi, the reigning HTL Cup Series champion, in seventh. DJ Trout in eighth. Dean Clavitt taking home ninth. And Lily Frazier in 10th to round out the top 10. Waiting for the next page. Okay, here we go. John Hagan in 11th. Ronnie Ayers in 12th. Bobby Blowers in 13th. Byron Jones in 14th. Jimmy Mensch finishing out the top 15. Alfred Denny in 16th. Zach McBride in 17th. Alyssa Pelletier Sharp in 18th. Jaden Bingaman in 19th. Blake Henderson rounding out the top 20. Stephen Oberstadt in 21st. Kyler McCarthy comes home 22nd. Carmen Sienna 23rd after being involved in a late incident. Rance Lewin leading the race at the white flag, finishes 1 lap down in 24th. Same with Angel Santiago and Richard Odie, 25th and 26th respectively for those. Dale Markowski in 27th, Jonathan Adams in 28th, Daniel Menzies 29th, Joshua Gaiman in 30th, Austin Mongold in 31st, Lane Myers 32nd, and Marcus Chafin rounds out the field in 33rd, 6 laps down. Those are your results for the Henderson Graphics tonight at Daytona International Speedway. And thank you to all of you for watching tonight's broadcast. It was such a great race. Any final thoughts, Ryan, from tonight's race?
No, I mean, just an awesome race overall. I mean, they did really well. Of course, we had our cautions. You expect that here at Daytona, but what a finish. I mean, the whole field pretty much wrecking coming to the checkered flag. And Alfred Denny, we thought he was going to come home second, but then had the incident count and knocked him back down to 16th. So great race, great win by Christopher Pannell, and then a great finish by David Smeal and Martin Roberg to get the podium finish. But I had a lot of fun. I was a little nervous, not gonna lie, before we started tonight, but had a blast, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course. And tomorrow on ABN, we have the Champ Car Series at Milwaukee tuning in here on ABN 1. Should be a great race there. And that'll be us for it tonight. Thank you for watching tonight's broadcast of the HTL Hammered Down Truck Series from Daytona International Speedway. I'm Eli Sasak. That's Ryan Pannell, and we will be signing off for tonight. Have a good night.